Let's unbox the APNX C1 PC case. Ta-da! So here it is, the APNX C1. As you can probably see, it was really well packaged. It comes in a big cardboard box, plenty of foam, and then a clear plastic bag to keep it safe during shipping. Inside the box, what immediately pops out is a user guide. So as with all PC cases, this is just going to give you some simple instructions on how to build a PC. Probably handy if you need something to quickly refer to, and it also tells you how to remove the side panels, the front panel, where to install the radiator, how to install the motherboard, and all the different screws and connections for taking the case apart. If we pull off the rear side panel, which you can see comes in the fabulous color, it does also come with a box of accessories. There is a bunch of Velcro cable ties, so these are going to come in really handy for doing cable management in the back. Nice little freebie with a little bit of APNX branding on there as well. There's a couple of plastic mounts in there. They look like replacement clips for maybe one of the side panels or maybe for the hard drive mount, something like that. A couple of little extras. A bunch more cable ties for doing cable management in black. And then it looks like we get all the screws and everything needed to build. Overall, a simple set of accessories and freebies, but there is everything that you need in there. So now let's move on to taking a look at the case itself. I'm actually going to keep hold of this panel because I think it demonstrates the lovely ChromaFlair color really beautifully. So the APNX C1 is available in this ChromaFlair color, which is like a blue and purple. It's really hard to actually get it on camera. It definitely looks really nice in person. It kind of reminds me of that pearlescent paint from the 90s, or maybe like a pearlescent wrap on a car. It's really, really quite beautiful, and it does have some metallic fleck in it as well. However, if purple and blue isn't really your thing, you can also get it in white and also plain black as well. The style of this case is obviously very modern, very sleek, very minimalist. I do like the overall design. If I quickly turn it around here so we can take a closer look at the front panel, you can see that it has this curved design. You've got a curved line here, you've got a curved line on the other side. I think this actually pulls off really easy as well because it's a toolless case. And you can really see that curved design in this really cool front panel. All in one piece, which is quite unique. Hopefully you guys can see the ChromaFlair. It looks so cool just moving it around in all the different lighting. Also, what I'm telling from these panels is that you have a ton of airflow in this case. You've got this massive mesh front panel. You've got a load of mesh on the top panel. This really cool square mesh design for plenty of airflow. And then finally on the rear panel as well, you can actually install fans back there. You've got even more mesh. So it's clear that APNX have really prioritized air cooling in this case. Speaking of airflow, we can take a look at what fans come installed in this case. If I take off the included mesh front panel, really great for keeping dust out, you can see we've got three 140mm fans in the front. These are ARGB PWM fans, so they're going to support all like traditional RGB lighting headers on your motherboard, so you can control them with the RGB software, and also PWM means you can control the fan speed within your BIOS as well. So you can set it to a more silent profile or a faster speed profile for better airflow. Also in the back of the case, you do get a fourth fan, which is really nice to see, a 120mm fan in the same design with ARGB lighting. And that means that once you've installed like your cooler in the top of the case, you probably don't have to buy any additional fans, which I think is really nice that you get 4 included fans. Sometimes you get 3 with a case, sometimes you only get like 1 in the rear, or sometimes you don't get any. So I think that really adds to the value, which I quite like. The final thing to talk about on the exterior of this case, if I just pop the top panel back on, we should be able to see it more clearly. Here we go. We have the front I/O, so hopefully you guys can see that. Up the front here, it looks like you get 2 USB 3 ports for plugging in peripherals, for plugging in storage. There is also a USB-C port as well. Obviously, more and more devices, new Apple products are finally moving to USB-C, so that's definitely going to come in handy. And there's also an audio jack on the front here for a pair of headphones or a microphone with super easy access, and the power button and also a reset button. So a simple front I/O, but it definitely does the job. So now I've got the panels off, I think we should take a look at what's inside. It has this wonderful tempered glass side panel, so you can see all of the lovely components in your build. Being a toolless case, this should be super easy to remove. Yeah, just like that. There's a little notch back here. I can get my hand in and pull that off, and that comes off really easily. Being a mid-tower size case, it does have really decent support for all your modern high-end hardware. So we're talking an ATX motherboard. You can get a full-size power supply in the bottom down here, and it is nicely covered by this large PSU shroud, which is in 2 different parts. So you can install some additional fans back here. You can remove this metal part, you can remove part of the PSU, and actually install up to 11 fans, which is an immense amount of cooling. Obviously you get 4 fans included in the case, but if you want to buy an additional 7 fans, you could if you wanted to, because you've got space for 3 in the roof, space for 3 here, and you can put an additional one actually behind the motherboard tray as well, which is quite unique. I've never actually seen that before, so it's quite a cool feature, all simply by removing part of the PSU tray and this metal bracket back here, which kind of hides the cables. Additional support in this case, you get space for a CPU cooler of 166 millimeters. You can fit a PSU with a depth of 270 millimeters and a max size graphics card of 395 millimeters, which is huge. And there's even an included support bracket here as well. So those big RTX 4090s can suffer from a little bit of sag. They can put quite a bit of weight on your motherboard. So having a included GPU bracket should help support the weight of those massive coolers. Additionally, when it comes to fans and cooling, you can fit a 360 millimeter radiator in the roof or a 360 millimeter radiator in the front. So overall, really good hardware support. Let's flip it around and take a look at the cable management. Now we flipped it around, I think you can see much more clearly where you can install those additional fans. This is where you can install those 3 extra 120 millimeter fans. And I really like that APNX have done that. You get it in cases like from Lianli, where you can install them on the back of the motherboard tray. I think it looks really nice in a build when you've got them all set up with RGB lighting. And of course, it is going to provide some extra airflow. Also back here, you have this big metal sheet, which you can attach a fan onto if you want to, or it's also where your storage is going to go. So you can fit 3 3.5-inch hard drives or 3 2.5-inch SSDs. So slot 1, slot 2, slot 3. And of course, those little rubber bungs that we saw earlier are what's going to stop the vibrations and what you attach your hard drive or SSDs to. It's reasonably good support for storage. I think you can actually remove this if you wanted to as well. It's screwed in with a couple of screws, so that will make it a little bit easier to install the storage. So that is the empty APNX C1 in beautiful ChromaFlair. But this wouldn't be a proper case overview without looking at a built one full of lovely hardware components. So let's switch to that now. As if by magic, here's one that we built earlier. So this is our build in the APNX C1, and I love how it looks. Obviously, this is the black edition of the case, very sleek, very stealthy. We unboxed the ChromaFlair version earlier, and this is gonna be a better option if you prefer a more understated build. It's also available in white as well, but I really like this black version, particularly with the RGB fans, which look way better than I was actually expecting. We set them to this lovely blue and purple color. There are a range of different RGB effects and things to choose from, but I actually love this particular look for this case. They all match up perfectly and they're synchronized with an APNX cooler. So this is the AP1V air cooler and it looks fantastic in this case. Obviously it uses the same fan. So we've got 5 of the APNX fans and they actually seem to perform really well also, and they are very quiet. I cannot currently hear the fans. In order to hear them, I actually have to put my head actually right next to them in order to hear them. And I'm very surprised by that because sometimes fans that are included with the case, they can be kind of a bit cheap and nasty and you don't actually want to use them, you want to replace them straight away. But I like that APNX has used very usable fans in this case. They look great and they also seem to perform and sound very nice as well. So this is our very sort of straightforward build. We've got the air cooler, we've got a smaller graphics card in here, there is a full-size ATX motherboard, a couple of sticks of RAM, and we've got our like black plastic PSG cables as well. So we're going to turn it around and we can take a look at how the cable management looks. So here we go. Obviously they've not put any hard drives on the back here. Our build is actually using an NVMe drive, but this is where you'd install the storage, and there is so much space here for all the cables. So our build team has done a great job of cable tying everything into place, and there is so much room. You could have like several more graphics card cables. You could have all your hard drive cables and things in here. There is still plenty of space to store them all, and loads of routing space even behind here. We've got the CPU cable running behind here, but you could route RGB cables, USB cables. There is actually so much space, and they've done a really good job, which makes cable management easy because no one wants to spend like 2 hours managing their cables in order to get the side panel back on. But overall, I really like what they've done with the build. That has been our unboxing of the APNX C1 PC case. It's available in black, white, and ChromaFlair color options.